chaos in Hamburg as days of anti-G20 riots blight the German city, resulting in hundreds of injuries among police and protesters. And despite the trouble outside, there was progress inside as Presidents Putin and Trump held their much-anticipated first meeting, resulting in a serious ceasefire agreement, which is now in effect. Also, CNN's accused of blackmailing the creator of the President Trump wrestling clip, threatening to reveal his identity if he does something similar again. With the top stories from the past 7 days and right up to the moment developments as well. Welcome to The Weekly on RT International. My name's Ewan O'Neill. Our top story this hour. The German city of Hamburg is counting the costs after enduring a string of violent protests against the G20 summit. While the event went smoothly for the leaders of the world's most powerful countries, for 3 consecutive nights, riots broke out on the streets. 50,000 people rallied on Saturday alone.
Die entfesselte Gewalt und ungehemmte Brutalität, auf die die Polizei in diesen Tagen des G20-Gipfels immer wieder getroffen ist, verurteile ich auf das Schärfste. Es gibt nicht die geringste Rechtfertigung für Plünderungen, Brandstiftungen, brutale Angriffe.
Well, left-wing militants from across Europe convened on the city. They torched cars and piles of rubbish, vandalized and looted shops, and left glass and debris strewn across streets. The rioters also clashed violently with police. Now, the violence reportedly left as at least 200 officers injured, many business owners after the first wave of riots took steps to protect their premises, boarding up weapons and doing similar things. Now, some said parts of the city looked like a war zone. Peter Oliver was following the unrest there for us.
Tensions have boiled over between demonstrators and the police. I can see the main body of the crowd. Sorry, excuse me, sir.
They are macing everyone. Seriously,
so
that really hurts.
You were caught up in this. What can you please describe for me what happened where you were?
Well, as far as I could tell, they were attacking the demonstration with no reason.
Just horrible. Just civil war.
The violence was awful, and I also don't understand the message they want to send. It's violence. It's simply tragic.
That is a car, some form of sports car, I believe, that's been torched here. Roaming moments of small bits of violence, and the police come in to try and put it out. Water cannon were used, pepper spray was used. Here the crowd chanting away their anti-fascista, a lot of Antifa chants going on, all under the watchful eye, if we move the camera over here, over the watchful eye of a lot of police officers. We're just going to keep a bit vigilant here because we are seeing, oh dear, what's that? That's flour being thrown at the police just as you can see there. We're actually right between the police and the demonstrators right now, so we're going to try and get out of the way just one moment while I'm talking to you. Not the best place to be. Here's a huge column of police officers that's marching through the city. They're leading the demonstrators. It's continued, Andy, over the last 24 hours now. As you can see just behind me, there's actually more water cannon arriving at the intersection where I am. There was quite a tense scene here just not a long time ago, whereby a number of bottles were being thrown. The police responded with water cannon. There's certainly a very large police presence, a helicopter flying overhead, many other emergency vehicles around, but there's also an awful lot of demonstrators here. This is the scene in Hamburg. As you can see, a heavy police presence. They're just marching past me. The order came through from police that this intersection here, this junction, had to be cleared. There is a section of demonstrators just over there. You may be able to see water cannon being used. Every time they try and come closer to this intersection, they get sprayed back. You can see just over here, the advertising hoardings have been vandalised. There behind me is a bank that was locked up, but it's now also been all smashed up over my right shoulder there. I spoke to some of the shop owners that are based here about what their plans were. Some were saying they were going to board them up, some though saying they were going to wait it out and stay inside the store 24 hours a day.
Some owners are covering windows so they don't get broken. A lot of places are closed, so we can't work productively. There's a total collapse of transportation. In my opinion, you can't organise the G20 in a left-wing liberal area, especially in Hamburg, which is famous for its demonstrators.
It is one of the major centres for counterculture in Germany, one of the major centres indeed for the far left here. Just over my left shoulder is a place called the Rote Flora. It's a major hub for left-wing groups here, and it was from there that a lot of the organising of these demonstrations originated from. Of course, this area ending up being where a lot of the violence took place.
Hugh Bronson from the Alternative for Germany party told us that given the strength of radical left-wing sentiment in the city, violence was always very much a possibility.
Hamburg is well known for its left-wing, sometimes extremist views. So this shouldn't have been a surprise for anybody, really. Well, I believe there are two groups of people who actually travel to Hamburg to take part in this. One group is very peaceful. They want to stage their protest. They are perfectly in their right. Every German has the right to assemble freely without weapons. It's part of the constitutional law. The second group, however, they didn't want to have any peaceful demonstrations. They were set for trouble. You have these, I call them demolition tourists. They travel from all over Europe, from all over Germany, to take part in a protest that is bound to be violent, that is bound to destroy shops, looting of supermarkets. They had no interest whatsoever in a peaceful protest. And sadly, this small but very violent group is now attracting all the attention. And of course, the peaceful protesters are upset because this is not how you should stage your protest. Your protest should always be peaceful to be heard.
Well, away from the violence, one of the most anticipated encounters at the G20 was the Russian president's first face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump. And the meeting seems to have exceeded expectations, bringing about a potential breakthrough for the Syrian conflict. The two leaders agreed to establish a ceasefire in the country, which has now come into effect. With more, here's RT's Emily Sue.
Following the first face-to-face meeting between President Trump and President Putin, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has announced that the U.S. and Russia has agreed on a new ceasefire in the southwestern of Syria that will take into effect at noon Damascus time on July 9th. Take a listen to the details of this new ceasefire.
Russia, the US and Jordan have reached a ceasefire agreement for Syria. The ceasefire will come into effect in 3 areas: Dera, Quneitra and Sueda. It will come into force on the 9th of July. The US and Russia have committed to monitoring the ceasefire and ensuring humanitarian access to the areas. Initially, security in these areas will be ensured by Russian military police in close cooperation with the US and Jordan.
Now, these 3 southern provinces that Lavrov mentioned also share a border with Jordan, which is also part of this new agreement. However, another country that these 3 southern provinces, which I believe we can show you on a map now on the screen now, also share a border with Israel. And this area includes the disputed Golan Heights, a disputed area between Syria and Israel. And according to the UN, it's a Syrian territory occupied by Israel since the 60s. And over the recent weeks, there's been a surge of cross-border exchanges of fire. And this new de-escalation zone can potentially avoid such incidents in the future. The U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, he said this new agreement shows is the first indication that the U.S. and Russia can work together and cooperate with each other in Syria. The Russian President Vladimir Putin, he also expressed an optimistic tone over this. Take a listen.
Regarding whether the U.S. position on Syria has changed, I think it's become more pragmatic. In general, it doesn't seem to change, but there's now an understanding that we can achieve a lot with a united effort.
Now, bear in mind that this is no doubt a breakthrough in terms of U.S.-Russia relations, showing that the 2 countries can work with each other on Syria. However, it'd be too optimistic to see this as a breakthrough of the entire Syrian conflict as a whole. As you know, prior to this, numerous de-escalation zones have been set up, and countless ceasefires have been agreed on, and both sides have accused each other of violating them. And so there's still a lot of unanswered questions regarding the Syrian conflict, and one of the most crucial one being the political future of the Assad government.
Well, we asked an expert in international relations about the difficulties that lie ahead for the Syria peace process.
This is still a first step, and it should be tested. It's a long way ahead. So I believe that we wouldn't be able to reach a final solution for the Syrian crisis before years from now, maybe 1 or 2 years at least, because there are a lot of obstacles, especially from the American side. There are a lot of opposition to the American President Donald Trump. The day he was able to reach this agreement with Vladimir Putin, there were news leaked to the corporate media in the United States of meetings between the son-in-law of Donald Trump and some of his aides with Russian diplomats, and criticism followed from Trump's opponents.
Well, most of what was discussed at the Trump-Putin meeting, which was held behind closed doors, remains a mystery, although the Russian president did give a revealing insight into his first face-to-face with Donald Trump.
Trump and I have established a relationship. It may sound strange, but Trump, in real life, is completely different to when he's on TV. He is very businesslike and easy to talk with. I think if we continue to work together in the way we did yesterday, we'll be able to restore relations between the US and Russia and bring cooperation between our countries to a new level.
However, it wasn't only Putin and Trump drawing everyone's attention. The G20 summit saw a lot of new faces as well as old friends getting together.